Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Rose Janice, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Jennifer's Autistic Life. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how I discovered that I was autistic and when I was diagnosed. So it started in 2007, I was 27, and I went back to college after an absence. I wasn't doing too well, had grief issues and other things going on and social. I just was really hard to adjust to the social things and everything. And I tried support groups and I kept failing at them. And I've always wondered why I was different. Always. I've always different. I've been in special ed classes my whole life, all through school. And I was bullied for my voice, for being different, because my voice is pretty unusual. Imagine having this voice as a little girl. The voice I have now is what I had as a little girl. It doesn't really, make people want to like you or make people want to be friends with you, really. And I never really had any friends with people, that were not disabled. Well, in my neighborhood, there were regular kids and at church. And so anyway, I was having a really hard time and trying to get help. I'm like, why am I different? I mean, why am I like this? And so I was reading about autism and everything, and it just made sense. My whole life at that point just made a whole lot of sense. That's why I was different. And, it should have been obvious, because I stopped talking when I was a toddler. I lost all my words. I had autistic meltdowns. I've had trouble with interacting socially with kids. It's all documented. It's like nobody ever connected the dots. I don't know why. All through school, I was put in special classes, different special labels, and yeah, I was, and not being able to make eye contact. Eye contact is really difficult for me. Sometimes it's just so painful for me, especially with somebody new. Why I get used to people. I don't do too well with groups. I just don't. So anyway, I discovered that I was autistic when I was 27, and then when I was 29, I got officially diagnosed. So, it's really nice to have more of an understanding about myself, after all these years. My mom knew there was something different about me. Like, nobody ever thought of, autism. I think because when you're a female, they don't think that females have autism, but they do. We just kind of be able to fly on the radar for some reason. Where when people just assume oh, you're just depressed or you're just really shy and we need to have you be more social, and I didn't like having to be pushed into being social. That was not fun, but I will discuss that in a later video. It's forced socialization. I hated it and all that. So I feel good about knowing why I'm different, because I felt lonely, not in the sense that I I was a person who did not have friends. I was lonely in a different way. Different feeling of loneliness as to why I'm different from other people. Like, what, like, why am I different? I know it's kind of weird, but, and to be able to, and I found a group. Finally, the one group I did not fail at was an autism group, and it was wonderful to finally talk with other autistic people with the same challenges and that I have, and or maybe different challenges too. It was amazing. It's like I finally felt like there was a place that I could be myself. That I'm not gonna fail a group just because I'm being me, or because I have a meltdown, or if I didn't say anything, and those are the reasons why I've failed at groups. So it's quite comforting to know that you have an autistic community that'll be supportive of you, to belong to. Being autistic is hard, especially when you're a woman, and being a woman of color, because, you know, it's just something that's difficult. For those of you out there that are on the spectrum that are of color and females, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. But I wouldn't change being autistic for the world, because I'm a very creative person. I'm thinking, well, if I wasn't autistic, I wouldn't be as creative. I'm a very visual thinker, and I think about like a lot of I like to think of, story ideas in terms of film. As if it was a film, like I'm the main character of a story. Like in a film, and kind of like have a storyboard in my mind, what I'm going to write about and everything, and just write it down. I don't know. I just really think in pictures. I think in pictures, basically. Like some autistic people do. But sometimes when I try to have a conversation with somebody, I need to say something. I see the word in my head that I'm about to say too. So that's kind of interesting. So I like the good parts about autism is that it makes me very creative. I'm really passionate about being creative and doing art and everything. Drawing and writing and, although I have difficulty with having conversations, I'm not afraid to, like, go up on stage or be on camera, And, like, the worst part of autism is the sensory overload that I have. Things that processing things and not being able to understand certain things, and maybe not getting the joke sometimes, or expressions are hard to understand, and sometimes I take things literally. I'm like, oh, like I just hate not understanding things sometimes, it's just hard. It's just hard to adjust to things, and having my routine disrupted, and yeah, sometimes it's a lot sometimes, and sometimes when you have to deal with things like grief and sensory overload and other things where we have a lot of stress, that's overwhelming. And so I'd have to stim more, and I'll later talk about that in another video. And so being autistic it's hard, but I'm proud to be an autistic woman. I'm proud of who I am. And I hope everyone watching this on YouTube is proud of who they are. Other autistic people on this, that are watching this, be proud of who you are. Embrace, your strengths. And I applaud you for, dealing with your challenges, as we all have challenges, and being autistic is hard, and just just do the best you can. And so I thank everyone for watching my YouTube channel, and goodbye.